Hi everyone, today I am discussing about producer and consumer problem in Java. So what is a producer, what is a consumer program? See here, producer produce that item till consumer is waiting stage. So after producing is completed, consumer consume that item. Okay, so when consumer consume that item, producer is waiting stage. Okay, so after consumer consume that item, then producer start the produce. Okay, so like that, so after producing the item, consumer consume that item. So one person is waiting stage, another person is wake up stage. Okay, like that. So in this area we are using generally synchronized and wait method. So synchronization means thread safe. Thread safe means key and lock mechanism. What is that meaning of those things? So if you perform group of threads in single instance, that instance is a synchronization area. Then group of threads, which thread is involved into that synchronization area, first that thread process completed, then only it is allowed into another thread. Okay, then only it is allowed into another thread into that synchronization area. Okay, so at a time group of threads not allow into synchronization area. For suppose diagrammatically here, see, for suppose this is a two threads, t1 is one thread and t2 is one another thread. So for suppose here t1 and t2 threads is first t1 thread is allowed into come into synchronization area, block of code is execution. So this is a synchronization area. Synchronization area means the method. For suppose how to start the method, void display. Before start the method, just define synchronization keyword, then the method is synchronization method. So that is called synchronization area. In that area, if the, for suppose multiple threads are performed on same instance, in that place first this thread is involved into synchronization area. First this thread process completed till this t2 thread is waiting stage. Okay, it is not allowed into synchronization area. T2 thread is waiting stage. Then t1 thread process is completed in this area. Okay, in this area the logic process of t1 thread process is completed, and it is comes out from that synchronization area. Then only t2 thread is allowed into this synchronization area. That is called thread safe. That is a synchronization. Okay, one thread process completed, then only next thread is allowed into this synchronization area. That is called synchronization. Next one is wait. What about wait? Wait is a one predefined method in object class, not thread class. Okay, so object class contain wait method. So wait, what is a wait? Wait is a lock the entire thread. Okay, thread process is a stop. Okay, so when wait method is stop till when you call notify method. Okay, if you call notify method, then only the thread is wake up stage. Okay, when you call notify method, then only the thread is wake up stage, until the thread is waiting stage only. Okay, so in object class, not only notify all also one of the method is there. Notify all is one of the method is there. So this is a method is for the purpose of the notify all is, it is a wake up stage. All threads are wake up stage. Notify means only single thread is wake up stage. Okay, so notify all means all threads, whatever threads are waiting stage, all threads are by default wake up stage. This is a notify means only single thread only wake up stage. Okay, that is the difference between notify and notify all. So these are the two scenarios we are using in producer and consumer problem. Practically we see here one program is there. So here I'm create two threads, test1, test2. Okay, these are the two threads. Why? Because this extends thread class. Okay, two threads and one factory class. The factory class contain produce and consume. Produce method is there, consume method is there. Okay, factory. So here our intention is, this is a thread is calling produce method, this thread is calling consume method. So before call this method, you need this instance into t1 and t2. Okay, so how to create? For suppose here factory class, factory f1. instance is there. Same as here also I define instance, but we can't call with this reference because, sorry, this is the object reference. With this reference we can't call. Okay, so must be available instance of factory class. Factory class instance is available, then only it is possible, because of by default this reference contain null value. Okay, by default this reference contain null value. How to access? Through constructor. Yes, you can access through constructor. Like first of all, how to define the constructor? um, how to define the constructor of just one? So using the class name. For suppose class, this is a one class constructor. So if I define parameter factory f2, okay, if I define like this, so how to access this instance of this factory instance? How to access? Through object. Constructor is calling through object. Yes, so this one, see here, for suppose factory f equal to new factory. So this f is passed into here, just enough. Then directly instance is passed into this constructor. So store this value and f1 equal to f2. Okay, so that object reference, nothing but a instance, is stored into class level variable f1. Okay, now it is possible to call that producer method. Okay, f1 dot produce method we can call. Okay, it is possible. Same scenario here also. Second thread also I have to define here. Okay, then f1 dot consume. Produce method I call, consume method also I call. So but here is a constructor calling also is refer. So here two threads perform on single instance. Okay, this is called multi-thread. Okay, this is called multi-thread. Multi-thread means more than one threads perform on single instance, then it is called multi-thread. Okay, so yeah, single instance we can pass. Okay, producer and consume method we are calling. So here is I want to call 10 times, means producer produce that item 10 items. For that purpose I take for loop. So int I equal to 1, I less than or equal to 10, I plus plus. Okay, I pass I value. Same as here also I consume that item also 10 times. Produce the item and consume that item. So parameter. So parameter is required. Here is in factory item. So that item also I want to store globally, because of consumer consume that item is required. So if you define locally, it is not possible to access in consumer. That's the reason here int produce item is a variable. The produce item value stored through this reference item. Okay, now it is possible to consume that value. Okay, so after that here is I define system.out.println produce item is this is the item, then consume item, this is a consume the item. Produce item is taken. Okay, so these are the two methods are not synchronization right now. Okay, so zigzag order. So without synchronization we can't handle the threads. Okay, it's the zigzag orders. So see here, zigzag order, these are the all are zigzag orders. Okay, so when you define synchronization keyword, just then this is called synchronization area, and here also synchronization area. But here also so confusion is there, some matters, so improper things. Okay, we need to handle that, those are the threads. Okay, thread handling using the boolean values. Different approaches is there, so I follow one approach that is using the boolean value. Okay, so by default boolean value is false. Okay, by default, if I suppose integer value by default 0, same as boolean value by default false. Okay, otherwise we can take as a directly false. If you have any confusion, directly we can take as a false by default. Boolean means nothing but a true or false. So directly here is I taken false. Okay, otherwise if we are not defined, here is false, then by default boolean value is false. Okay, okay, anyhow here I am taking as a false. Okay, so here I am using wait method. Okay, because of after produce the item till consumer must be waiting stage. Okay, so when consumer consume that item, in that place producer is waiting stage. Okay, so those are the controlling the scenarios is required here. So for that purpose here I take if condition. So by default flag equal to wait stage. So here by default flag equal to false. That's the reason don't wait stage initially. Okay, don't wait initially, but consumer must be wait. Okay, after produce then only consumer consume that item. After produce only consumer consume item. By default is a false, so that's the reason it's a false. Then it's not wait stage, directly it's a produce the item. But here must be wait. Okay, after producer produce that item, after produce the item, then only he is go to waiting stage. Okay, but here consumer must be wait. That's the reason here is I take not symbol. Not false means true. By default it's a false, then not false means it's a true. True means directly consumer waiting stage. By default first waiting stage. So here is a waiting method is throws an exception. That's why we must be handle an exception here. Exception ex. Okay, so these are the information, copy and paste. Yeah, so by default consumer waiting stage. Okay, fine. Producer directly produce that item and split the value. Then after that producer after produce the item, the producer must be waiting stage. Okay, so initially it's the false, then the flag equal to true. Okay, then after produce the item flag equal to true. True means the producer waiting stage, go to waiting stage. Okay, then flag equal to false, sorry, flag is equal to true, then after that notify that one, notify. Okay, so when it's notify, the consumer come to wake up stage, then consumer consume that item, then after that consume that item, then flag equal to false. Why? Because not false means it's true, then it's move to wake up stage, sorry, waiting stage. Okay, then it's notify. Okay, notify means producer wake up stage. Okay, here is producer is wake up stage. Producer is wake up stage. Okay, wake up. Okay, wake up stage. So here also, here is consumer wake up stage, here is producer wake up stage. Okay, so here is consumer lock means waiting stage, here is producer lock means it's a waiting stage. Okay, so like that. So producer produce that item and consumer consume that item using boolean scenarios. Okay, yeah, we got before that we need to save that program, then we have to execute this program. Yes, so producer produce the item. Okay, so when producer produce that item, by default consumer is waiting stage. Okay, so after produce that item, after produce this item, then producer go to waiting stage. Okay, so because of flag equal to true, so notify means consumer comes to wake up stage. Okay, then consumer wake up stage, consumer consume that item, then flag is equal to false means consumer go to waiting stage. So flag is equal to false. After that I define notify means is a wake up stage, producer is wake up stage. Then producer produce that item and flag is equal to true, like that. Producer produce the item, consumer item, like that will till end of the values, all this. Okay, so this is a producer and consumer problem. This is a very important. The threads are we can handle using the wait, notify. Okay, notify all means so all threads are wake up stage. Okay, yeah, so this is called multi-thread processing. Multi-thread means more than one threads perform on single instance is called multi-thread. Okay, yeah, thank you. If you have any doubts, just put a comment. I will give the answer. Okay, fine, thank you.